let's talk a little bit. Let's about the neck today. Let's do a little bit of neck exercises. Because most people having an issue with that forward head position, the neck being in your computer screen, in your car, whatever we're doing. And unless we change the strategy and the strength in our neck, posture will never change. So let's do it. You're going to lie on your back, and as always, we're going to measure the need of pillow by extending the legs. So if you're lying on your back and you have no pillow underneath your head and your ribs are up, and I have this little strap here. This is the rise strap. If I have it underneath my bra strap and I can pull it out, that means I am too arched. This is too much of a back bend. But if I can take my ribs down and then cannot pull that strap out, that's already a much better position. But to make it easier, we're going to lift the head a little bit with a towel or a blanket, and that's going to ensure that we're not in this perpetual back bend. So you're going to bend the knees, taking a little bit of stress or extension off your back. And again, just have your pelvis at a nice resting position. We don't want to go 12 o'clock with the pelvis here, just because it's going to pull a little bit too much on the lumbar spine. So 6 o'clock, slight anterior tilt, or just a normal rest is fine. So what we're looking for a healthy neck and head positioning is adequate strength. And for most of us, the back of the neck is very strong in a shortened position, which is that chin forward. So we're going to work a little bit more on a evening out and more of a neutral head positioning with the neck. We'll start out by making sure I'm not lifting my chin too much or dropping my chin too much. So you don't want to see your knees while you're with your head on the pillow, and you don't want to see behind you, be able to see behind you while your head is down. So we'll start out by pushing the head just back into the blanket or pulling it back. And you should be feeling the back of your neck muscles kind of activating here. The chin is not lifting, chin is not dropping. You're just going to push it into the blanket, and then you're going to let it release. This is our isometric contraction. You're going to push the head back and let it release. And then you're going to push the head back and let it release. Let's do this one more time. It's not a crazy effort. You know, we don't want to dislocate something. It's really just I'm pinning down the towel or the blanket and then release. And then let's activate the front of the neck. This is going to be a little bit harder. You're going to lift your head up a millimeter and then let it release. And then a millimeter lift, which is really just your hair and your scalp are probably still touching the blanket, and then let it release. And you should be feeling a lot of work in the front of your neck. Making sure we're not letting the chin lift up, well, because that's going to put the work back into the back of the neck. And that's where we don't want it right now. So kind of baby lift, full head lifts up off the blanket and let it release. And we'll do one more like that. This is very important to ensure the next part of the exercise to be very successful. Because if our initiation is wrong, the next step will be wrong. Okay, so here it comes. We're going to lift the head, baby lift. And then you're just going to say, I'm going to lift my forehead more than my chin, and I'm going to look towards my knees. And then you're going to slowly lower that down. All it should do is it shortens the front of the neck. It's going to be really hard because your head seems very heavy, or is very heavy, and it elongates. I'm going to do this again. So the forehead lifts more than the chin. but it's very small. You're barely lifting your head off and feeling the front neck muscles activate and then slowly lower down. Notice if you want to clench your teeth. Try not to clench the jaw. Doing this again, tiny lift, and then forehead comes up, chin goes down, and release. And we'll do this one more time. Breathing, baby lift, and then looking towards the knees, lengthening the back of the neck, and let it go. So this is kind of all it takes. You might be feeling this in a way all the way up to your temples. Those tiny muscles in the front that are just flexing the head on the neck are very skinny. They're long and skinny, so they cannot really do a whole lot of big movement. And what we're really just looking for is this tiny little tilt. We have an artery that's called the vertebral artery in our neck that goes up into our head and makes a very sharp angle there. And the more we push our head forward, the steeper the angle becomes, and this is going to limit blood flow. And this is why we don't just want to lift the head up at any rate. We're lifting the head up to a very tiny amount, because the next thing when we get there will be the bigger move, which will be the abdominal move. So let's do one more thing here, and this is even tinier, I would almost argue. You're going to lift your head up, baby lift, or that millimeter lift, or paper lift, we sometimes call it. And then you're going to look down towards your knees and then turn your head 1/8 of an inch to the right. And you're going to keep the down, right? The chin is not lifting. Turn the head back to center and turn it 1/8 of an inch to the left. And then come back to center and release. So the flexion and a tiny amount of rotation, this is what these muscles are responsible for. And they never get to do it because the back of the neck usually works. Okay, so let's add one more thing on here. You're going to take your hands behind your head. You're going to just cradle your head, and the hands are going to not push the head forward. That's very important. You're going to hold your head. Your head is held by your hands. We're going to lift into that baby lift, and then we're going to look towards the knees. Keep your head now really heavy in your hands, and you're going to use your abdominal muscles to come up. You're curling a little bit higher, but it's coming from the rectus abdominis right underneath the rib cage. Keep holding your head heavy in your hands and feel how much abdominal work that is. If you don't feel abdominals here, you need to get your head more back. Now let's take the hands away from the head and just maybe put your hands to the top of your earlobe, at the top of your ear, and you're going to say, I'm going to lengthen my ears away. I have Mr. Spock ears. Can we feel a little bit more neck? And can you feel a little bit more stomach muscles? And then slowly lower your head down. So what really would be another great approach if the lifting the head seems like too much, we're doing our eccentric contraction. So this is what this is, right? We're lifting the head up with help of our hands, lengthening the back of the neck, using the abdominal muscles to really lift into the abdominal curl. Again, it's not the chin. It's not about a really high lift. Don't worry about it, please. It's really a long lift. We want even spinal movement, and that's how we're going to get it. So head is heavy in the hand, and then take your hands away from the head and then slowly lower this down. And then you'll feel once the ribs are down, the last little bit is front of the neck that has to lengthen with load your head. And that's how you want to, that's how we're going to get a stronger front of the neck. Let's do this 2 more times. Hands behind your head. We're going to lift, baby lift, then we're going to do a little cervical knot or a little curl, and then you're going to use the abdominal muscles to lift up. You can stay here even, just letting the head be heavy, find your stomach muscles, shaking a little bit, and then take the hands away and slowly find your rib cage going down first. And then at the very end, it's your neck. And we'll do one more. Forehead lifts, hands behind your head, abdominal curl. Find a little shake, have your head be heavy in your hands. The more length you can think into your spine, the more you're going to have to work it. Breathing here. Take your hands away from your head. Maybe you find your Spock ears, lengthening the neck a little bit more, the whole spine, and then slowly lowering down from your rib cage. And then at the very end, slowly lowering down the rest of your neck. So this is going to be a really good exercise to do. You can do this daily to really just strengthen these neck muscles here in a very, for a very beginner way.